Hi, welcome to the video. My name's Dychronic, and today I'm taking a look at my favorite PvP specials in Destiny 2. And of course, as always, I've made a spreadsheet for this video, which is still at my Discord server on the channel #spreadsheetsdocs. And as you're probably well aware, Crucible this season isn't as good as it used to be, especially after the airborne accuracy changes and some other stuff that has happened this season as well. But I do have a rundown of the best specials in the game. I would also like to mention is that they do have a planned nerf to linear fusion rifles, which are on the top 10, which will happen on November 8th, so literally 2 days after this video releases. At this point, we can't say where they're going to be, how they're going to change them, so just keep in mind that this list is basically a top 9. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. On screen right now is my spreadsheet and all of its goodness that you know and love it for, as well as the top 10 sub-rankings, which is what the letters are, and all of the different stuff we have for the spreadsheet. So let's go ahead and go through each of the different categories of weapons so you can have a good understanding of the meta. First up, let's take a look at trace rifles. Trace rifles are pretty much the same as they ever have been. They're a higher damage auto rifle and actually are kind of fun to play with. However, they do get pretty hard countered by weapons that instant kill, like fusion rifles, shotguns, snipers, linear fusion rifles, and of course they do require sustain, so if you can't sustain fire on a target, they're not as effective. Following that, let's take a look at glaives, and I would say glaives are actually not a terrible option, something that does take some time to get used to, but that shield is really nice. However, they did nerf it this season from 75% resistance to 50%. That being said, they can survive full shotgun blasts multiple times and still shoot their target, as long as you can get that shield going. However, again, pretty much the same problem as before, is that there's a lot of instant killing specials that are usually more useful in a lot more situations. Moving on, in the first majorly ranked category, we have the snipers, and these snipers got a big hit this season. They have significantly more flinch than they used to, and the linear fusion rifles don't have nearly as much flinches, which is why you're seeing way more of them. That being said, snipers do still have a place, can still be used, however they do probably need that flinch thing removed. When it comes down to the snipers, we still do like the adaptive frames the best intersection of handling, of zoom, of range, and of course availability, and we do now have more craftable options. And close behind that are going to be the 72 aggressive frames, especially with Macabre, which comes with opening shot snapshot off of doing just the very basic Festival of Lost quest, something that is easy and very functional. And of course, the aggressive frames have a higher body shot damage, which makes them easier to follow up with. In the next category, we have fusion rifles, and we did get a new exotic fusion rifle. Delicate Tomb has that blind fire horizontal shot, has that aim down sights, which is normal. However, it just doesn't feel like it measures up very well. It doesn't reach out to that much range, and Coriolis Force, it's a nightmare to use and has that horizontal spread that no one really ever liked. Now, the big changes to fusion rifles this season is that the precision frames, even though they are still the best option, they did get their stability cut in half, or at least the bonus from being a precision frame cut in half, which used to make them incredibly controllable and of course usable over range, making them usually better than the high impact frames, even though they did actually not reach out to as much range. That being said, we still find the precision frames to be the best option, just a faster charge time of the high impact frames, and of course we do have craftable options and a lot of them. And for the exotics, Bastion is still not measuring up as much as it used to, but it's not far off. After that, let's take a look at these shotguns, which is actually not even going to be in the top 2 weapon type. However, shotguns are still a good option, especially considering how easy they are to get, how easy they are to use, how simple to understand they are. Shotguns are going to be very hard to not be part of some meta. That being said, in our accuracy changes and the nerfs to shotguns over and over have brought them down a lot. When it comes down to it, we have flipped this season, and we feel that the aggressive frames are going to be your best option for that range, for the consistency, and of course the damage. And we did get a new one this season in the form of Mindbender's Ambition, which can be adeptified. I don't know what the word is. It's adept, right? Falling close behind that, we still like the slug shotguns, and they are, again, not nearly as usable, especially after the airborne changes. You cannot use those in the air, but if you got your boots on the ground, Chaperone, Duality, and a lot of the slugs are still okay options. And at number 7, we do have some of the precision buckshots, and of course the lightweight frames. Especially a big shout out to Matador 64 being an arc shotgun does work with certain arc synergies with Arc 3.0. And of course a special mention to Lord of Wolves, which was doing really well last season, and this season did get its nerf and disabled and nerfed again. So no longer is it going to be the Lord of Crucible. Moving on, let's talk about the grenade launchers. And at number 3 and 4, Dead Messenger and Wither Horde kind of came as a surprise last season, but it's definitely cementing its place as a very viable and very strong option. Especially considering that Dead Messenger and Wither Horde are both energy and kinetic versions, they're kind of just brothers. However, we found that Wither Horde is more of a defensive playstyle holding zones, and Dead Messenger is more aggressive, especially when compared to that Warlock thing where where you can shoot the shot, do that teleport melee, and just kill anybody in front of you. And to be fair, any of the wave frames can actually do this, just that Dead Messenger hits a wider area and is a bit more consistent. And of course, with a horde makes it very easy to combat bubbles and wells, which are still very popular. And following that, the only sidearm for special armor, we have the Forerunner at number 2. This one may come as a surprise, but it has been coming up in the meta ever since last season, and the one before that, it got like 4 different buffs. First of all, this weapon has the same damage headshot, around 72 of the 140 hand cannons, but shoots at 200 RPM, and is also very comfortable at long range and close range. And furthermore, the ammo economy is also really good. And since this is a sidearm, you can actually pair it up with a primary ammo sidearm and double dip on mods and focus on just sidearms. And sidearms are obviously very good in the meta. And of course, this is an energy weapon, so it doesn't pair up with Drang, but there are other sidearm options that are really good. And finally, the best weapons in the game are going to be the linear fusion rifles. Arbalest and Lorenz Driver has been destroying the Crucible in every single mode. First of all, a lot less flinch than the sniper, so they're basically just the better option now. And furthermore, a lot better in-air accuracy, which is the big thing that's holding back a lot of weapons. And obviously, they are probably going to be nerfing both of those coming in that next DLC or that next patch. And the reason why Arbalest is chosen at 1A over Lorenz at 1B is because, first of all, Lorenz did get its body shot nerfed, which means Arbalest is a bit more consistent in body shot damage, and can follow up easier with other weapons, and Arbalest can be paired up with something like Drang, which seems to be one of the more popular options. Although, to be honest, both are absolute destruction hounds, and again, one's kinetic, one's energy, they are just brothers. And of course, these spreadsheets and these videos would really not be possible without my support on Patreon. So if you want to see these continue, please check out my Patreon. And of course, a big thank you to my patrons, specifically a big thank you to Mom and Dad, Monday, Studio Walker, Suno Panther, Case Reckon, Marcus Glover, Father Support on Patreon, and that's it. Hope you guys did enjoy. My name's Dychronic, and I'll see you guys on the next one.